This document now in the hands of Congress. It's a list kept by the Justice Department of all the U.S. attorneys who have served under President Bush. Along with names, it includes notes about prosecution, judicial, and political experience. Then there's this additional and surprising column, indicating whether or not they are members of the Federalist Society.
Federalist Society is this conservative legal organization. I think for the Bush administration, being a member of the Federalist Society meant you were a reliable, ideological, partisan Republican. It wasn't enough just to be registered as a Republican or to have a generally conservative judicial philosophy or prosecutorial philosophy. It basically meant that you were a real movement conservative, a party regular. That's what being a Federalist Society member meant.
A network of kindred spirits,
yes,
committed to the same
yes,
conservative cause.
Yeah, it's being a member of that team in their eyes, and that kind of loyalty. It's no accident that there's that line in Kyle Sampson's email where he talks about most of the U.S. attorneys being loyal Bushies. That's really what it comes down to, that kind of political loyalty.
Marshall's case in point, Timothy Griffin. Attorney General Gonzalez picked him last year to replace the fired prosecutor in Little Rock, Arkansas. Griffin's reputation was as a highly partisan operative, first doing opposition research for the Republican National Committee, and then as Karl Rove's deputy in the White House. According to an internal Justice Department email, getting Griffin appointed as U.S. Attorney was important to Karl.
This, I think, is an example of a lot of people say, well, they're political appointees. There's a difference, though, between being a political appointee and putting a political operative in charge of a U.S. Attorney's office. I mean, an example is, I think James Carville is an attorney, but no, it wouldn't pass a laugh test to make James Carville a U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C. He wouldn't have credibility. He's too political.
And is Tim Griffin in that category of a political operative?
Oh, absolutely.
Such a partisan background for a sensitive prosecutor's post made it unlikely that Griffin's nomination would pass Senate confirmation. But the White House had a way around that obstacle. Earlier in the year, the Justice Department had seen to it that an obscure provision was sneaked into the Patriot Act.
Basically, they slipped a provision in that allows the Attorney General to make interim appointments that last throughout that president's term. It's as simple as that. It basically...
What's wrong with it?
Well, we have a system of checks and balances. The Senate is supposed to approve nominees for U.S. Attorney nominees in the same way that the president doesn't just appoint the Secretary of State. He appoints the Secretary of State, and then the Congress votes, and if the Congress approves that person becomes Secretary of State. They were getting rid of the advice and consent dimension to the U.S. justice system.